be under the bright lights. I want to be on the Broadway stage.
Tiger Rag Radio is on now.
Hey, we're back here on Tiger Rag Radio, second hour of the show. Jeff Palermo, News and Sports Director of Louisiana Radio Network, along with the Executive Editor for Tiger Rag Magazine, Todd Horn, and the Editor, Glenn Gilbo. Jackson Blackman, our producer. Let's get right to our next guest on the Max Home Hotline. That's LSU men's basketball coach, Matt McMahon. Coach McMahon, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Jeff, great to be with you tonight. Thanks so much. What a great environment last night in the PMAC.
Yeah.
And incredible third quarter from Coach Mulkey and the Tigers. So congratulations to them, headed to the Sweet 16, and thankful to be here with you tonight.
Well, today is the second day the transfer portal's been open, so is your eyes blurry from watching all this videotape on all these guys that are in the portal at the moment, Matt?
It's been hectic, but I'm really enjoying it, doing a lot of intel work, a lot of film study, and lots of Zooms, phone calls, and in-person visits. So it's really interesting the way the game has changed to where, those 30 days after the season end are incredibly hectic as you work to build your roster for the upcoming season.
You feel like you're close to any commitments yet?
I think 2 days in, it's still a little early, but I really love the direction that we're going. We're involved with a lot of really good players. I think it's important for us to not only identify elite talent, but the experience, proven guys. And then I think positional size are some areas we're really locked in on. And I am fired up about the way it's going here so far.
Coach, this is Todd. Have you been surprised or taken aback by any of the portal transfers that have transferred out of the program or said they're transferring out of the program so far?
No, I haven't, Todd. I think it's hard to be surprised anymore, with just the landscape. I mean, and it is what it is. Players at the end of the season across the country have the ability to go into the portal, whether that's in search of more playing time, whether that's in search for a fresh start, if that's for better financial opportunities. So I think that's just the way it is in college basketball now. I mean, I saw, elite players went in the portal today off winning teams.
Right.
It's just kind of the new era of college basketball.
When you're so heavy into player development as a coach. I know it's the transactional nature of the sport, with NIL being what it is, and you can basically remake rosters every year. But you really had some success with Robert Miller in terms of developing a player this year. Damian Collins. You lost Jalen Reed after he was probably off to his best season before his injury. Cam Carter, even though he won't be here next year, had the most three-pointers, or sixth all-time in three-pointers in LSU history, and his best scoring. And that was something that you worked with him on when you brought him in. So I know you have a plan as you go into this transfer portal, and it's geared towards retaining some players and developing some players that you're going to bring in. But can you kind of walk us through what your process looks like when you're evaluating the transfers in the portal?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, there is the transactional nature now, but I still think, Todd, that the player development and that relationship is key. You mentioned a couple of examples of guys who really have bought in and taken great strides. So I think you almost have to look at it kind of like the pro model from the standpoint of bucket number one is your retention, who you're retaining and re-signing, for lack of a better term. And then the second piece is what is our NBA draft, which is signing high school players in the fall. And I'm thrilled with the top 20 class we signed there with Jalen Reese, Mozzie Mosley, and Matt Gilhole. And then the third and arguably most important bucket is free agency, which in college basketball is the transfer portal. And, there are a lot of examples of teams that have been able to flip the script very quickly through signing the right guys in the transfer portal, development from an age and experience and leadership standpoint. That's our process, is to check the box on all three of those buckets and build an NCAA tournament team, and really excited about the progress being made in the portal right now.
Joining the Army is more than a chance to serve your country. It's also a great career move.
All my personal experience, I've been able to build upon that so that I could achieve construction management and training, go for a project manager planner. So when I get out of the military, I'm able to pursue a career in construction management.
Get the experience you need through service in the United States Army.
Talking to Matt McMahon here on Tiger Rag Radio. Matt, thanks again for joining us. This is Glenn. I know you're busy. You didn't have to do this, but let me ask you this: Do you have a better chance of getting that elite transfer this year than or multiple ones than you did last year? My question is, do you have more resources at your disposal this year than last year?
Yeah, Glenn, I think we're in a really good place there. I think there's been a great investment in men's basketball, and I think we're really well positioned, from not only a retention standpoint, but the ability to go out here and sign the players in the transfer portal that are going to come in here and impact winning and allow us to build a tournament team. So I'm thrilled with that, appreciative of the opportunity to do it. And now we got to execute the plan as these visits start up.
What do you tell a guy? Hey, we got openings. We can win here. What's some of your sales pitch?
Well, I think the financial piece is certainly part of it, and that's not necessarily my role as head basketball coach. I don't think like Steve Kerr is not negotiating Steph Curry's
right.
Contract. So I think that's certainly part of it, and that gets taken care of. But for me, and I understand the narrative of college becoming pro sports, and certainly there's some truth to that. But I still think the things I love about college basketball are still true. The opportunity to help a player maximize his talent. To grow and develop as a player and as a man, to get a great education here at LSU, to identify an opportunity where there's a need here for us to come in, whether that's starting wing or whatever the position may be, to come in and have that type of impact on the program. And so, I think player development and player investment is a big part of that, and I think that's what I'm, most looking forward to as we construct this roster this spring.
Now, Matt, you have had players in all sports that enter the portal. They take a look around, and then they come back to the team they were on. I'm wondering what does a coach do in that situation? Like your three guys that went into the portal. Do you keep up with them, particularly if there's one you think you got a chance of getting back? Do you call them and keep up with them, or how do you do that?
No, I think I hear those rarely. There's some extreme circumstances where that does happen, but I feel like once the decision's been made, that it's whether it's made by the coach or the player, or mutually between the two, that it's best to go our separate ways. Certainly, follow our players that move on. I wish them all the very best, and as I always tell them, here to help in any way we can to make sure they find the best situation for themselves. But I'm certainly not looking to re-recruit or bring anyone back once they've made that decision.
Gotcha.
Coach, so take me back. I know you don't like to look back, but last year at this time, as you were composing your roster, obviously you didn't have as much financial wherewithal, I don't think, as you do this year. But you put together a roster based around what you thought was going to be able to compete in the SEC. And as it turned out, even though you had the injuries to Jalen Reed, and Tyrell Ward's early
and Victorious
departures from the team, and then Victorious Miller's injury during the season, you still had halftime leads in 6 SEC games this year in an historically strong SEC. And you also were tied in 2 others at halftime on the road, but you just didn't seem to have the physical capability to hang in there in all those games. And I know that's one of the things from talking to you that you were trying to build towards. Were the injuries just something that just there was a fine line, and once you hit that, it was just you were up against a wall? Or can you describe it to me in your own words?
Yeah, obviously it's disappointing. I didn't get the job done at the level we wanted to get it done at, and the results were not where we wanted in January, February, early March. I thought we got off to a great start in the non-conference with 11-2 record there. I think the reasons for the disappointing SEC season, a combination, not just one thing. You mentioned, it certainly wasn't in the plans for Tyrell Ward and Jalen Reed, our 2 leading returning scorers, to play a combined 6 games on the year. There were some other injuries, but that's also part of it. And, I got to do the job at a higher level to find ways to overcome that. But I think the final piece is we got physically overwhelmed over the case of 40 minutes in many of those games by this historically strong SEC. And so that's why in this portal it's so critical to us. Positional size, the physicality that you see in this league, we have to identify that as we continue to build the roster.
Coach McMahon, how, and we've seen it, Missouri and Vanderbilt, 2 programs that didn't do very well, and they make a big jump and they get into the NCAA tournament. So how realistic do you think you can turn this thing around where it was 3-15 this year to, getting into that NCAA tournament next season?
Oh, I think very realistic. I mean, it's happened the last 2 years in our league. I'm excited about the investment we're making into the program and the talent we're going to be able to identify and bring in. But you look back at what South Carolina did 2 years ago. You just mentioned Vanderbilt and Missouri, who went from the bottom of the league into the NCAA tournament. I think it's, college basketball in this new era, and that's what we're planning to do. I'm going to be really excited about the players we bring back and have already signed, and then we'll combine those with the players we'll bring in this spring through the transfer portal. And then it's time to get to work at that point. Now you still have to build a team. We have to make sure we get the right people on the bus and get them in the right seats and move the team forward toward the NCAA tournament next season.
All right, Matt, here's a fun one. Who's your Final Four, men's Final Four this season? Who's it going to be?
Oh, man, I'd have to look at the bracket. I'd probably say 4 Is it possible for 4 SEC teams to do it?
There's 7 of them in there, so I would assume so.
How's the bracket shape up? Could 4 go in?
I would probably think so.
Wow.
Yeah, I wasn't sure of the matchups, but I do think, when you look at Florida, the way they've been playing, they have the construction of their roster, the physicality and size in their front court, and then the elite guard play with seniors and graduates in Clayton, Richard, and Martin back there. Been impressive to watch, but amazing to see how good the SEC has performed. The first piece was the 89% win percentage in non-conference, and then to get the incredible regular season, and now 7 teams in the Sweet 16. Just a great credit to the league and the great players and coaches in it.
Coach, thanks a lot for your time. We'll let you get back to breaking down all that transfer portal tape out there, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Hey, I really look forward to it. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thanks, Matt.
Spring is sprung, the grass is riz, I know where the library is. What's happening at the library? The 19th annual One Book, One Community series celebrating sports and youth mentorship with Jeffrey Marx's best-selling book, Season of Life. Join the library for events and activities for all ages in March and April. For details, spring over to readonebook.org. That's readonebook.org.
We just got off the phone on the Max Home Hotline with Matt McMahon, and optimistic Matt McMahon. I know a lot of people are down on the LSU men's basketball program, but based on our conversation there with Coach, he doesn't look at it that way for sure.
Well, he's a fighter. He's a fighter by nature. And I think what a lot of people don't understand about Matt McMahon is that he is a good basketball coach. He knows the game inside and out. He played the game at the NCAA tournament level himself.
App State, right?
Yeah. So he knows what he's doing. And it is a changing environment, and he did come into a situation that was the worst possible situation you could come into, on probation, no players, no nothing. He's had to build out of it. And I know, everybody talks about, well, Vanderbilt did this and Missouri did that, as we confronted him with in that interview. They simply didn't have the money. So this is the first chance that he's going to have with the money to exercise his knowledge and his expertise and skill and get these players in. I thought the most revealing thing about the conversation, one of the most, was that he's not worried about the players that have left.
Yeah.
Right, and he may have well asked all three of them to leave, which we were talking about at the break.
I think he's got too much charisma, couth, and intelligence to say that.
Yeah, he kind of said it subtly, but yeah, and that's normal, because he might have felt like he wanted different players at that position. Maybe they asked for too much. Tyrell Ward sounds like he really kind of let him down too, I think. And then he also lost Jalen Reed,
But
to an injury. That was an injury.
Right.
But if he had Jalen Reed and Tyrell Ward last season, man,
Those two top scorers.
That could have been a lot better. But yeah, so he sounds pretty upbeat. It was good to hear from him, and he also agreed with us that he has more resources. He's got more money to get players this season.
Yeah, he confirmed he has more money. He didn't tell us how much. He confirmed that he's excited about who he's talking to already in the transfer
on
portal.
Zoom,
and they want to be bigger. They want to be big.
Yeah,
that's
obvious.
He admitted that the physical team that he tried to construct last year, whether it was because of injury or other things that happened, was physically out-physicaled.
Yeah. Well, he told us before the
SEC game.
season that they weren't that physical,
right,
to begin with. But Jalen Reed, that made a big difference.
But we're also probably talking about big guards too. I mean, everything. He talked about positional size.
Well, if I go back to the preseason conversation we had with him, I think one of the big questions marks in his mind was, is Jordan Sears going to be able to translate to, from that mid-major level to this level?
And he really didn't.
And he didn't. And
neither did Jai either.
I think Jai did in one way.
Jai Bailey.
I think Jai Bailey did in one way. I think he was a stabilizing force for that offense and defense all year long. He wasn't a scorer, prolific three-point shooter or scorer. Cam Carter.
He had the best season of his career.
Yeah, and that's another thing when you go to the player development that Matt McMahon puts so much emphasis on. He literally charted a map for Cam Carter on how to improve his game, his outside shooting, and his ability to take better, more efficient shots this year. And he achieved those goals in light of everything that went on.
And you know who else I think is going to improve next year significantly? Damian Collins. You could see him getting better this season. He's still got a ways to go, but you watch. Matt's going to get him better.
So it seems like better days are ahead. But if the days are not good enough next year, that's it, right? Do you think that's?
I think that's the writings on the wall. I do.
If he has a season like this,
I don't. Gosh, I hope he doesn't go 3-15 next year. But let's say they go 6-12, and they
depends how good the league is, but it'll be tough.
Well,
it'll be close.
and that's the thing. He does have whatever amount of money. I think it's $8 million a year. He didn't say that. There's no reason.
Yeah, we've reported $8 million a year,
and I think that's accurate. Okay, so if they have $2
million last year,
that puts them on par. A little less than $2 million is what I heard, but that puts them on par with some of the things. But that's it. That's on par. Now you got it. But you're at least on an equal playing field with them, and because of the transactional nature of the sport today, and the most important ingredient being the free agent signings, at least he's got the budget to go out and compete for those players.
And 6-12 will get you in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, but it also gets you fired. Asked Texas's coach.
Right. Yeah, and Texas and Oklahoma, I don't think should have been in.
Well, the thing about Texas' situation is they wanted Sean Miller when they hired this guy. And the only reason why they didn't hire Sean Miller when they hired this guy is because this guy beat Sean Miller in that tournament. And they were like, how can we hire? We've got an interim coach that just beat the coach we want to hire. How do we do that?
And how can you keep a guy who we can't remember his name? This guy.
Reed, whatever.
Reed Evans?
Is that his name? I don't know.
All right.
Well, he's not the coach anymore, so it doesn't matter.
You don't have to worry about it anymore, Todd.